Thank you for watching this little tutorial on how to fix the REINST UMG bug. It's a very annoying little bug that has been plaguing a lot of users, and its cause is cyclical dependency. And cyclical dependency is when an object references another object, and then that object references the first object. And they just go in a loop of referencing each other. And in blueprints and UMG, this happens most often when you have a widget within a widget. And when you put a widget within a widget, the reason that you do it is so that you can have a widget that you want to use over and over and over again. Like in this case, I've made a button. The button has a style built into it. If I can click on the correct object, there we go. A button which has a style, normal, hovered, depressed, and disabled, that is going to be used over and over again throughout my project. So I don't want to have to keep creating the same button, and I don't want to copy and paste the button just because copy and paste is kind of hit or miss with UMG at this point. So I decided to make it a separate widget and then use it over and over. And what it should look like is this. I have this vertical box and then three references, or actually three instances of this UI lot button, that's what I called it, widget that I've placed over and over again. And in a previous project, I saved and opened it back up, and this is what I got. This is what I wanted. This is what I set it up as, and this is what I got. And when you look at the details panel, you'll see something called REINST. And that is, again, caused by cyclical dependency. So to fix that, you need to make sure that your widget within a widget does not reference back to its host widget in any way. It cannot reference another object that references the widget. It can't reference it directly. So what do? How do you fix this? And the answer for right now is to use interfaces. You can also use event dispatchers, but I feel interfaces are a little bit easier in this case. So let me show you how we're going to fix this. Right now, UI lot button, if I can open that blueprint. This is in an older project. Right now in the graph, I have references to my game mode, GM Mogul. This is for a game called Build Santiago that I'm working on. And GM Mogul has a reference to UI Mogul mode, which is the UI that this widget is supposed to be nested inside of. And I want to run some logic that's built into UI Mogul mode. So my original thought was to get the game mode, get UI Mogul mode out of it, and then run the logic that is built into UI Mogul mode. But this is not a good way to do this, just because you end up with some cyclical dependency and then REINST errors. So to fix this, I'm just going to get rid of GM Mogul. Yes. I'm going to get rid of UI Mogul mode, and I'm going to get rid of actually all of my functions for this, because they all kind of need the cyclical dependency to function. But there is another way around this. So I have my event here, onClicked, for this button. So whenever an instance of this button is clicked, it's going to fire off onClicked. And then each of my buttons has a set of button instructions and button text. Button text is what's displayed to the user. Button instructions is just what I want the button to do. Then I send the button instructions to a string switch, and if it's by lot, low ball lot, exit, it's going to fire off a different function. So I'm actually going to put this somewhere else. I'm going to put it inside UI mogul mode. And I'm going to make new versions of those previous functions that I had before. I'm going to fire it off by custom event. So add custom event. I'm going to call this UI lot button clicked and pop that right there. It's going to fire this off, and it's going to have an input of type string. Make this button instructions, and then throw that into the switch. Oh, that was autosave trying to save my REINST errors, but it can't. So, to recap, UI mogul mode, the host U widget, now has a custom event in there that passes through my button instructions and then goes to the string. So what do we do next? The next thing we're going to have to do is create an interface. If you don't already have an interface in your game, then you might want to create one by going to Blueprints, Blueprint Interface. I'm going to call this New Interface for now. Open that up, create a new function. I'm going to call it UI lot button, just to be more specific. And it also needs this string parameter, button instructions. So I can compile that, and then I can go to my game mode, mogul and GM mogul. Great. So in here, I need to first make sure that this blueprint implements that interface. So I can go to Edit Blueprint Options, and then Add Interface. The interface being New Interface. That's what I called it. And then, after I compile, I can call the event UI lot button. So whenever I send an interface message to this specific blueprint, it's going to fire this off. And then I can get the reference to my UI mogul mode in here, and then fire off the UI lot button clicked custom event and pass through the button instructions. Although I don't think I compiled this. I did not. There we go. Perfect. That's going to happen every time I try to save, because of that cyclical dependency error. So now, whenever I fire this on clicked, I'm going to send an interface message to my game mode. Now, you don't want to have a reference to your game mode. You just want to send a message to the current game mode. So I'm going to use get game mode, drag out from that, and then I'm going to send the UI lot button message. And I'm going to pass in this particular button instance's button instructions. Compile that. So now when I click on it, it will send this message to the game mode, whatever it may be at that point. And then the game mode will send a direct message to my UI mogul mode. And then my UI mogul mode will put that information, the button instructions, into the switch on string. And then each of these instructions will fire off something different. For right now, just to prove that this works, I'm just going to print a string, regardless of what the instruction is. And the string that I'm going to print is the actual button instructions. So now, if I go back into the designer, I can get rid of these references to that button, or these instances of that button, I'm sorry. I can go in, create new ones, UI lot button, UI lot button, and UI lot button. And my button instruction for this one is buy lot. Button instruction for this one is lowball lot. And the button instruction for this one is just exit. Now you're going to get to see a little preview of my game, which is awful, so don't get your hopes up for anything cool. So now, when I click on this and I bring in this menu, the first one's instructions is buy lot. So it's going to print buy lot. Next one's instruction is lowball lot, and the last one's instruction is exit. So now, I'm not going to save and then restart this, just because I don't think that we need to. This is exactly what I did for my newer version, which does the exact same thing, only there's actual logic on these buttons now that fire off different events: buy lot, lowball lot, exit menu. Those are all functions up here. So now I don't have that REINST error anymore. That REINST error is just gone. And this is, as far as I've found, the best way to fix the REINST error. You kind of have to rethink the way you want to do things. Having to pass variables and events around, it's kind of a big pain. I wish, honestly, that we could just create a direct reference to the object that we want to send a message to, but we can't. So this is probably the best way to handle it right now. If you have any more questions about this, or you have any more issues with this method, please leave a message in the comments below. And yeah, I'm not going to talk anymore. Lates.